only based on name recognition or party affiliation.
America gave us this in case change was needed, and change is needed now. And so we need to all go out and vote, and it's important to do that. I was in my class one day, and one kid was asked if he was going to vote, and he said that he wasn't because he didn't want to. And I don't think that that's an excuse, because we need to make change now. And just because you don't want to vote doesn't mean you shouldn't vote.
And when this many people stand up and go, this is not okay. I grew up in the segregated South, and it was segregated even though it wasn't legally supposed to be. And I can remember everybody around me making jokes, racist jokes that I could not stand, that I was forced to listen to as a kid and became angry about. At least then I knew racism was bad. I could see what it did to my friends. My one African-American friend, Cornelius, who grew up with me because he was the only one in my class, and the pain that he went through as my friend. I got to see that. But up here, where it's less in your face, people think it's okay. Things aren't so bad. It's not true. Things are still that bad, and we can't let go of this movement. And we have to make the world a better place, because until we all stand together, we all stand alone.
I've been living in West Hartford for 20 years now, and I'm part of a very small minority group. We're from South Asia, India, Punjab. I'm part of the Sikh community. We are all universal students. We're all in this together. I have a lot of hateful stories to share, negative stories, dark stories, but I also have a lot of positive stories full of light. And I have to thank the town of West Hartford for allowing me to feel safe here, for allowing me to walk up to this platform in these clothing, with the star on my head, with my crown on, and to share my voice with you all.
I know that a lot of white families raise their kids to be colorblind. That is wrong. That is not the way to do it. When you're colorblind, you take away all of the struggle and all of the triumph that people of color go through. If you're colorblind, making a joke about being deported just seems like a joke. You have no idea how many times I get those jokes, how many times so many people in this audience get those jokes. It's not funny. It never was, it's never going to be. But when you're colorblind, you don't understand the gravity of those situations. Don't be colorblind. And when you're teaching your kids about different colors, and you're teaching your kids about black people, and you come to this realization like, wait, I don't get it. I don't have the right linguistic capabilities. You understand how the education system has failed us to understand the importance of race in this country. We all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different places. And when one race dictates the entire curriculum, you set up a generation for failure. So I want you all to really embrace who you are as individuals. Talk to somebody. Don't just leave here after this. Grab the person next to you and just say, hey, give me a couple pointers about your life. You're not going to learn everything about them, but it's a place to start.
I come from a very small rural community where essentially the entire population is white and upper class, and there is silence. White complicity and white silence, which is violence. For a long time, even before the riots and pandemic, and the execution in the streets, which have only just the white community have realized and has become visible to them, I have felt a deep sense of powerlessness to effect change. A powerlessness that stems from the rift between a perhaps idealistic hope of a better world and the crushing reality of the existential threats that face our communities and have received no action. Threats that have been completely neglected, accelerated, and actively perpetrated by the very society and so-called leaders who lead this country.
So I moved here as a refugee child at the age of 11 years old, and I moved with my dad and my older sister, leaving the rest of our family back home. And during my time here, coming to the United States, you hear it's the land of milk and honey. As we stand here, we clearly see that it is not so honey and milky after all, right? So as a child living in the United States, I've lived in Hartford my entire life. I was never really exposed to other communities or what racism really is. Until the first time I was introduced to it, I remember I was in AP classes. So one of the things that we had to do is on Saturdays, we went to East Hartford, and we had students from Avon and Talent and other areas come. And I remember one of my classmates, he refused to go in the classroom. And I said, dude, move. And he goes, I'm not going in there. And I said, why? And he goes, all those other kids are smarter than me. And the only reason why he said that, he didn't even know the other kids, the only reason why he said that was because they were white and he was Hispanic and I was black. So automatically just seeing them, automatically assumed that they were much smarter than him. Going to UConn, I got more exposure to what racism really is, and I realized how sheltered I felt living in Hartford, right? Being surrounded by other Hispanics and blacks and African Americans. These past few weeks with everything that's been happening in the United States, for me, it was so hard to be able to watch the story of George Floyd, and it took me 3 days to actually say, okay, I'm going to sit here and watch this. And even with that, the entire time, I could not watch it. And seeing the story of George Floyd and hearing the story of Ahmaud Arbery, and I actually had a friend a few days ago who posted on social media, she's Hispanic, and she got into a heavy debate with her family because her family were saying, well, those people, I'm sure he did something, that's why he was killed. And I thought to myself, even the cops who killed George Floyd, or the cops who walked into Breonna Taylor's own home and killed her, I would not even wish upon them what they did to those victims.
What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. You see, I don't feel justice when I'm coming through West Hartford. I feel unsafe. I don't feel justice when I'm coming through 149 towns in the state of Connecticut, because they're predominantly all white. In the state of Connecticut, there are 20 towns. I don't feel justice in the state of Connecticut because when I have to put on a suit every single day, I have to think about what I'm going to wear when I step out of my house. I got 4 college degrees, and I got to think about what I'm going to put on. I got to think about, at 43 years old, if I should have children or not. I got to think about if I'm going to have that talk with my child. How are you going to be okay? Are you going to be safe? The 3 steps I'm going to share with you today that are extremely important. First one, stand up. And when I mean stand up, be present in spaces like this in solidarity. Stand up and be present for black lives and brown lives and for people who have been historically disenfranchised in this country. Second one, speak up. Speak up in white spaces. Because when we are not present, you need to speak up. And let me bring it down to a human point of view. When you're in that house and you got family members, and I know many of you do, who say nasty and derogatory words, you don't want someone saying something to your family. You will speak up and say something if someone says something to your family. That's what I need you to do when you're in those spaces. I need you to speak up. And if you out at a bar, you in a restaurant, you hear a little comment, I don't need you to be aggressive in that tone, but I need you to say, this is not tolerated here in West Hartford. This will not be tolerated in West Hartford. We don't get down like this in West Hartford. You gotta stand up, speak up, and make sure that they understand. We're not one of those 149 towns. We planning to progress. And then third one, very important, follow through. You gotta follow through. And what I mean by that is, when you look at your police department, you gotta say, geez, you know what? We need cultural competency training on the regular. We need implicit bias training on the regular. we need to make sure we have microaggression training. And let me give you an example of microaggression training. Yeah, she's pretty for a black girl. Oh yeah, he speaks very eloquent for a Latino male. I didn't know he speaks English so well. That's a microaggression. And that doesn't just need to happen with the police force and the fire department or anyone else. You gotta work on that in your community as well. Community forums, in the school system, all over. Follow through. Stand up, speak up, and follow through. Repeat, stand up, speak up, and follow through.
Don't be afraid to lose any relationships. Just forget about it. They're not your friends. If you think that's good, come on now. You don't know the definition of friend. Come on. Thank you all for coming out today. You guys are all strong. Thank you. Black Lives Matter.